they are subjective, but I feel like at the core they are meant to be objective. So hear me out on this. So on a previous Poetic Charm that I was listening to, it was me, Big Mike, and Tony Stark Jr. And we were discussing how in dating in our different age groups, let's say casual dating or just dating in general has progressed over the years. So when towards the let's say the end of Big Mike's development and for the majority of Tony Stark Jr., he the aspect of fellatio was really a non-starter. But when I was growing up at a certain age group, then it was like it's standard stuff type of thing. So I feel like it kind of progresses. And even with the grading and ranking system, it kind of, I feel for me, it started before things like social media, before online dating, when you didn't really have a photo to show someone. So like, okay, how would you assess their beauty? So then you had the ranking system, and that ranking system correlates with, let's say, celebrities in real life. Not that women should aspire to be celebrities, but just for an objective person that we can see in real time and assess the attractiveness on a universal scale.
That's a very that you put that very well. I can't disagree with that at all.
But
yeah,
again,
I'm thinking in a comparative nature, right? I mean, when I guess that's what ranking is, right? So, like you said, if you compare them to, let's say, celebrities or whoever, I mean, everyone, I guess, is a certain number, I guess. So I definitely see what your point is there and whatnot. But like KG said, I think there's no benefit. Like once again, and it's something that we do. But I think if we do, as I said, like individual. Like,
Yo, I also think that to your point, like fact, there's like two scales, right? So like when we talk about it, if we're really gonna think about it, we agree with it even if we don't verbalize it, right? So you say, all right, your man's like him a certain type of way, right? So that's his scale, right? That's his scale as an individual.
right.
There's also an agreeable universal scale, fact, right? So it's like that's your speed,
Yes.
but in
Yes.
general, like she's this number, but you like him like this. So for you, this is that. That exists.
Agreed.
We can agree, like, hey, oh yeah, she bad, but as a whole, you know what I mean?
absolutely. And I think that's so important because you guys got into it naturally, which I love about this conversation, because you assessed it with different words. It didn't necessarily have to be a number. These were adjectives and attributes and things that, as you said, certain people hold more valuable. But again, you understand, you have that context to be like, okay, when that person says that, it's this. So when you're conceptualizing the appearance, you're putting it on your own. You're I guess you're adjusting their scale versus the universal scale. That's why I think the universal scale is so important, because this is a better way for the sexes to communicate, because we communicate in completely different ways. As we've all agreed, men and women are not equal. We are different, and that's awesome. And I think we should do better at being ourselves, initially, like in terms of your intuition. I think that's more important.
Well, let me ask you a question. Sorry, KG. Does the universal scale matter as much for that woman if the person that she's pursuing sees her on the other scale? He sees her as a whatever, a 10 or a 9, or not even a universally, she might be a 6 or a 5.
I think it depends on the woman, right? Because some women look like flat out can't take compliments, or they were used to being treated or talked to a certain way. Now you're treating and talking to her a way that she always wanted, but she's not accustomed to. There's an adjustment that she has to go through. I don't even think it matters. You follow what I'm saying? Like, I feel like she's going to feel about herself however she feels about herself until you help her feel better. That's my take on it. But what I thought about was like, I don't know if it matters as much for women as it does for men, right? I think both we find loopholes because there are intrinsic qualities that we may like about somebody. Maybe they're not tall as we want them. Maybe they're not the weight that we want them to be, or they don't dress this type of way, or hair, or whatever have you, right? But they have intrinsic value that you're like, oh well, if I didn't know them, I wouldn't deal with them. But because I know them, I know things that other people won't right out see. Does that make sense?
Yeah, this makes sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I guess what I was trying to say is that like the most important compliment should come from your spouse, right? Significant other, right? That's what it should come from. Now, obviously,
Should come from yourself.
right. Well, yeah. Okay. It should come from yourself first. But secondly, from the person that you want to hear from should be the significant other, obviously. Well, what it should, once again. But I feel like when you get to ones who want it from the outside, that's when that universal scale is high, weighs more than the scale that I'm looking at you as, stuff like that.
Yo, Key says the universal scale shouldn't matter if he or she is top tier to you.
Correct.
Why do you don't have to? All right, you guys correct me. I don't care. You guys do what you do. How about this? They don't have to be top tier. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm choosing to be with who I'm choosing to be with. Does that mean that I think that they're the best thing under the sun? That they're a 10? It's not a requirement. And I how about this? I see a lot of people's relationships. It's not a requirement. You know what I'm saying? Everybody
no, I mean,
does
well,
what they want to do.
no.
And
I
it
agree
works.
with you because there's many reasons why we could be together. So I agree with you. They don't have to be
Right.
top tier. Yeah,
Like,
I
all
agree.
right, I look at you on a universal scale. You're a 4 on a universal scale, right? But then it's like, does it matter? No, it doesn't matter, but it's still a thing.
Okay.
Doesn't matter, but it's still a thing. But I don't have to think you're amazing for me to deal with you because of what I'm looking for, what I want, or what I prefer. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. That's facts. Big Mike, you want to read out that comment?
Yeah. It says my kid, she says, I think ranking matters more to men because y'all are more visual beings.
Also, fact. And Key says everyone wants arm candy, eye candy. Let me be clear about that. Absolutely. This is why the universal ranking scale is important because it can be arm candy to you, but if you're expecting a certain response from wherever you're going and they don't agree with that, oh, that's arm candy. And then they can even be like, hey, I think you could do better. Then what are you going to do?
That's true. I mean, I definitely have had friends like show me women that they're dating and stuff like that or in their phone. They like, yeah, yo, you know, blah, blah, blah. They think she's bad. I'm like, oh, okay. You know what I mean? Like, but I was like,
not the high pitch, okay. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's the FOH. Yeah, I know that.
But I'm really looking at the girl like, you know, I mean, I'm happy for you, bro. Like, that's how I feel. So I get, you know.
Yeah, if you like it, I love it. You know what I mean?
Right. Exactly.
So wait. They were saying that they disagreed about. I think ranking matters more. So wait, now I'm confused because Key said that ranking doesn't matter, but now she's implying that it has more value for women than men,
which is interesting.
It's very interesting.
And I think it might correlate to the next question I'll ask you, gentlemen. I think this is a fair question because usually when it comes to the universal ranking scale, this is always a topic for the ladies to bring up. And the question is, would men have the same rankings without the European standard of beauty, right? Some women in our community will allege that if they promoted women who were perhaps obese or, you know, different type of perhaps not as attractive, not an attractive young lady, right? On magazine covers, men would desire them more than athletic, fit, slim, and beautiful and toned women.
If it was a fifth, we'd all be drunk.
We're here to that.
I mean, I say that to say I don't disagree with her, but I mean that's the same thing with everything, right?
And Keith says, no, I'm not saying that at all, KG. I stand by what I said, but that doesn't mean that the women don't rank men. I just said ranking shouldn't matter. Okay.
Okay. Does it though?
I think today it matters more than ever. I will say that.
But all right, so bust it, right? So check this out. She's a 3. A universal 3. 3. She's a 3. Right? But she do everything that you want her to do. Friends. Like you have never experienced whatever she do. Coitus, like she caught your slipper one night and you knocked off a 3 and it blew your socks off.
Or for you, she made you an excellent meal because you know how do you feel about that.
Make something to eat.
That's interesting.
Now, she's a consistent 3. But when the things that she does, you know how that 80-20 rule, that 20, now, you know, they do stuff that you like because you like it. She doing it because she flat out into the same thing. No cap, right? She it's give you don't even, it ain't like it's all, and you like, what is this 3?
But I said this on another show. Like, you can't.
Right, at what point in your life does it matter how much is that trumpet?
Okay, so let me say 2 things. One, I agree with you. I think the fact that she's a 3, the other stuff will trump it. But when you say what point of your life, I think age does play a part in that. So I think the older you get, the other stuff will trump the fact that she's a universal 3. Make sure you put that on there. Universal 3.
Hold on. So I would challenge that because remember, I'm saying she does whatever you didn't get, right? So say you're younger, but you couldn't get no cheeks. She's a 3, but she giving you everything. And you're like, yo, you can't get it. I'm giving you an example. You can always pick apart an example, right?
No, it's not my point. I got it. I will encounter that or whatever like that. You know, and Josh's going to agree with me because when you're younger, you care more about what the other people say about your universal 3. Right. So even though you're getting the chicks you wasn't getting, when you walk her down the street or bring her around your friends or whatever like that, it hits you harder than when you're older and stuff like that.
I mean, because I know some family members that, and not even necessarily mine, but also mine as well, that would say, "Hey, what are you doing?"
Right.
What are you doing with our jeans, literally, right?
Listen, I swear to God, my grandma right now.
Are you feeling all right, son? You okay?
Nah. You know what happens? You turn into like, oh, that's what you into.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying? And that's your preference.
My grandma not too long ago talking about my cousin and stuff like that. He was like, yeah, she was like, yeah, she a good girl and all, you know, like her. She work hard, but man, she ugly. He couldn't get nobody else. And she good girl. Whatever like that.